Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going deep, really deep, into the Book of Enoch. It's a text that sparked debate for centuries, really fired up imaginations, and you're sending this source material our way. Well, that tells me you're ready to go beyond just surface level. You're ready to grapple with this mysterious book. So let's set the stage here. The Book of Enoch, gotta say, it's controversial. Some embrace it, like as divine scripture, others reject it, call it apocryphal. But one thing everyone agrees on, it's packed with wild visions, prophecies, stories that sound like they came straight out of, like a fantasy epic, Our mission in this deep dive is to unpack those layers of meaning, see what we can learn from this ancient text. Right from the start, the book throws us headfirst into this world of, otherworldly encounters. Enoch, he's our protagonist, right? Gets whisked away on this cosmic journey, guided by angels through realms of fire, abysses, you name it. He sees these heavenly councils deciding the fate of humanity, encounters fallen angels who've, let's just say they've stepped out of line.
And he even gets glimpses of future events. Now, imagine yourself in Enoch's shoes for a second. You're witnessing these incredible scenes, receiving this divine knowledge firsthand, and then bam, you're tasked with delivering warnings about this coming judgment. Talk about pressure, right? But it's not all doom and gloom, fire and brimstone. Enoch also emphasizes hope. Hope for those who choose righteousness, promising them salvation, a future paradise. And this is where things get really interesting. The book tells the story of these watchers, rebellious angels, decide to get a little too friendly with human women. And their offspring, the Nephilim, they were these giants who, according to the text, brought chaos and corruption to the world. Now, you might be thinking, giants, isn't that just mythology? But here's the thing, stories of giants, they pop up in cultures all around the world. And even like recent archaeological discoveries, they hint at the possibility that there were once people of extraordinary stature, like walking the earth. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? But the book, it goes beyond just these fantastical tales.
It delves into these really complex theological and moral questions. One of the central themes is this idea of divine judgment and punishment. Enoch describes in vivid detail the fates awaiting those who stray from righteousness. And that includes both wicked humans and the fallen angels themselves. But, and this is important, the Book of Enoch isn't just about fire and brimstone. It also offers a profound message of hope for the righteous. The text, it assures us that those who choose the path of goodness, they'll find peace, protection, a place in a future paradise. It's this tension between judgment and mercy that makes the Book of Enoch so compelling. Now buckle up, because we're about to venture into some truly mind-bending territory. The Book of Enoch, it reveals a surprisingly advanced understanding of astronomy for its time. We're talking intricate descriptions of the sun's path, lunar cycles, even a calendar system that's remarkably accurate. This level of astronomical knowledge, it has some scholars scratching their heads. It challenges our traditional assumptions about the scientific capabilities of ancient civilizations. It's like Enoch is hinting at this lost knowledge, this forgotten wisdom that we're only just beginning to rediscover. So far, we've got visions, angels, giants, judgment, mind-boggling astronomy. But the Book of Enoch doesn't stop there. It's also packed with parables and allegories, stories that use symbolism to convey deeper truths. Like, take the parable of the animals. Different creatures, they represent different groups of people and their actions. It's like this cosmic morality play unfolding before our eyes. But deciphering these symbolic narratives, it requires careful interpretation. You got to be willing to look beyond the surface and uncover those hidden layers of meaning. So let's dive into one of the most intriguing parables, the story of the animals in chapter 83. Enoch uses his vivid allegory to explore this complex interplay of power, corruption, the consequences of straying from the path of righteousness. Imagine a world where bulls, sheep, elephants, all these creatures, they represent different factions of society, each one vying for dominance, often succumbing to their baser instincts. This is a powerful metaphor for the challenges we face as humans, right? The temptations of power, the constant struggle between good and evil. The Book of Enoch, it doesn't shy away from depicting the harsh realities of human nature. Through this parable, it reminds us that the choices we make, both individually and collectively, they have far-reaching consequences. It's a call to examine our own actions, our motives, and our role in the grand scheme of things. But remember, amidst all the warnings, the pronouncements of judgment, there's always that glimmer of hope. The Book of Enoch reminds us that we have the power to choose righteousness, to align ourselves with the divine, to work towards a better future. Now, before we move on to part 2 of our deep dive, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered so far. The Book of Enoch, it offers us a unique window into the beliefs and the worldview of an ancient culture. It's a text that challenges us to think differently about the nature of reality, the existence of otherworldly beings, and the profound implications of our choices. But we've only just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore, so many more layers to uncover.
So stay tuned, because our journey through the Book of Enoch continues in part 2. All right, welcome back to our exploration of the Book of Enoch. Part 1, we journeyed through Enoch's cosmic visions, right? We met fallen angels, giants, even delved into the book's, well, surprisingly advanced astronomical knowledge, to say the least. But now we got to keep going, got to uncover more secrets hidden in this ancient text. One of the most captivating parts of the book, I think, is its exploration of the afterlife. Enoch doesn't just tell us about these angels and demons. He, takes us on a tour, a guided tour of the realms beyond our earthly existence. He shows us where souls go based on their deeds in life. So picture this. You're traveling alongside Enoch and you see these radiant realms of paradise. The righteous are dwelling there in eternal bliss, no pain, no sorrow. Then boom, total contrast, right? You see these desolate landscapes reserved for the wicked. Darkness, torment, the whole 9 yards. It's a stark reminder, that our choices in this life, they have consequences, big consequences that stretch way beyond our earthly existence.
But the book isn't just some kind of travelogue of the afterlife. It grapples with these deeper questions about good and evil, the origins of sin, humanity's ultimate fate. Take chapter 39, for example. It takes us into this cosmic courtroom. Enoch witnesses the judgment of the fallen angels. It's this powerful depiction of divine justice, showing that even celestial beings, they got to answer for their actions. And this idea of accountability, this applies to humans too, of course. The Book of Enoch, it reminds us that we're responsible for our choices, and those choices, well, they have consequences in this life and the next. Now, amidst all those warnings, those pronouncements of judgment, the book offers a glimmer of hope. It introduces us to this figure called the Son of Man, a messianic figure who's going to judge the world and bring about a new era of righteousness. And this idea of a coming savior, someone who will restore balance and justice to the world, it resonates throughout so many religious traditions. In the Book of Enoch, the Son of Man represents the ultimate triumph of good over evil, a promise of redemption for those who choose righteousness.
Okay, let's shift gears for a second. Let's explore one of the more symbolic and honestly kind of enigmatic chapters, chapter 54. Here, Enoch uses all this animal imagery to depict the history of Israel, the interactions between different nations. They're trying to break this complex code where sheep, wolves, all these creatures represent different groups and their struggles for power. This allegorical approach, it lets Enoch get at these profound truths about human nature, the cyclical patterns of history, this eternal conflict between good and evil. It makes us look beyond just the surface of events to see the deeper spiritual forces at work. As we go through the Book of Enoch, we keep coming across this recurring theme: final judgment, a time of reckoning when the scales of justice, they finally get balanced. Chapter 60, it paints this vivid picture of this climactic event, the separation of the righteous from the wicked, the establishment of a whole new world order. Powerful reminder, right? Our actions have consequences. Ultimately, justice will prevail. But it's not just about punishment. The book also talks about the transformation of the righteous in the afterlife.
They're clothed in these garments of glory. Their bodies are renewed. Their spirits made perfect. This vision of spiritual rebirth, it's profoundly hopeful. It encourages us to strive for a life of righteousness, knowing our efforts will be rewarded in the realms beyond. Okay, now imagine this. You're standing there in awe as Enoch witnesses this breathtaking hymn of praise to God. It's what we find in chapter 71, this symphony of adoration, gratitude, acknowledging the Creator's majesty and power. Amidst all the warnings and judgments, there's this deep sense of wonder and reverence for the divine. And it's that blend of awe, fear, and hope that makes the Book of Enoch so compelling. So as we get closer to the end of our journey through the book, it's clear that it offers us way more than just these fantastical stories. It's like a tapestry, this complex tapestry of spiritual insights, moral teachings, these deep reflections on what it means to be human. But our exploration isn't over yet. In part 3, we're going to delve into one of the most intriguing and controversial parts of the Book of Enoch, the evidence for giants.
So stay tuned, because things are about to get even more fascinating. Welcome back, folks, to the final part of our deep dive into the Book of Enoch. We've covered some wild stuff, right? Visions, angels, the afterlife, all that. But for this last stretch, we're tackling something truly fascinating, and let's be honest, it's a big controversial. We're talking giants. It's intriguing, isn't it? Every culture seems to have these stories about giants. Greek myths, Native American legends, you name it. These larger-than-life figures, they capture our imagination. But the question is, are they just stories? Or could there be, a kernel of truth buried in those ancient tales? Well, the Book of Enoch, it offers one explanation for where these giants came from. Remember those watchers we talked about? Rebellious angels had a fondness for human women, their kids, the Nephilim. They were these giants, according to the book, caused all sorts of chaos and destruction. Now, the fascinating thing is, the Book of Enoch isn't alone in mentioning giants. The Bible, for instance, has all those stories about them. David and Goliath, that's a classic, right?
And even ancient Greek and Roman historians, they wrote about finding giant skeletons, remnants of these like lost civilizations. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could there be a historical basis for these stories? Could they be echoes of a time when giants actually roamed the earth? And this is where things get really wild. In recent years, archaeologists have actually found some pretty impressive skeletal remains. Individuals with, shall we say, extraordinary stature. It lends some credence to the idea that giants might have been a reality. For example, they found bones on the island of Crete, places steeped in mythology, right? And these bones, they're way bigger than your average human. Similar discoveries have popped up all over the world, from the Americas to the Middle East. Now, I know these findings are still debated, interpretations vary, but they offer these tantalizing hints that maybe, just maybe, the stories of giants aren't just pure fiction. It's not just bones either. Imagine finding these huge, like double-headed axes, way too big and heavy for a regular person to use. Well, they've found artifacts like that in Crete, dating back thousands of years.
These oversized tools, and even things like Stonehenge, those megalithic structures, they pose a real challenge to conventional explanations, don't they? It's almost like they were designed and built by, well, beings of extraordinary size and strength, hinting at this lost civilization of giants. So we have these accounts from the Book of Enoch with similar stories in other ancient texts, and now even archaeological discoveries that point towards the possibility of giants. It's a bubble that's captivated people for centuries. But the big question remains, what happened to them? Why did they vanish? The Book of Enoch, it gives us some clues. It talks about a massive flood, this cataclysmic event that wiped out a huge chunk of humanity, including the Nephilim. And you see this flood narrative in other ancient texts too. The Bible, the story of Noah's Ark, it's a recurring theme. Now, whether we interpret these flood stories literally or symbolically, it's possible that giants, along with countless other ancient civilizations, were swept away in this global catastrophe. Or maybe, maybe it was something else entirely. Climate change, disease, maybe even conflict played a part in their decline.
We just don't know for sure. But the point is this. Our understanding of history, of the beings that walked this earth before us, it might be far from complete. It makes us question what we think we know. To consider the possibility that our past is way more mysterious and, more complex than we ever imagined. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Book of Enoch, the evidence for giants, all this ancient mystery, I want you to remember this. The Book of Enoch, it pushes us to explore the boundaries of what we understand, to grapple with these ancient mysteries, to consider the possibility that our world, this world we live in, is more wondrous and stranger than we might think. So keep questioning. Keep exploring, and who knows what other incredible secrets you might uncover. Thanks for joining me on this journey. Until next time.